Hey everyone, Dr. Tim here, along with Hillary for another Dr. Tim's Aquatics podcast. How you doing this morning, Hillary?
I am doing great. How about you?
I'm doing great too. Now, last couple of days, Hillary has been at RAW.
Yes.
First time, right?
First time.
So RAW stands for Regional Aquatic Workshop. Started
Sunday.
Columbus, started
Oh, well, it's been a
35 years ago, 40. It started a long time ago in Columbus, Ohio. I wasn't at the first one, but I was at some early ones, and it was basically at a bar. And it was a regional because it was aquarists from a professional aquarists from a small area that get together and just talk about problems and situations and share information. And now it's turned into, take it, Hiller. How many people were there in
I think they said there were 425 people, that this was their largest year yet.
yeah, it was hosted by
Point Defiance. I guess it's a zoo and aquarium
yeah,
that's
Point
in
Defiance
Tacoma.
Zoo and Aquarium, yeah, in Tacoma, Washington, and I'm lectures and discussions and just all around just talking about fish and aquariums and problems and stuff like that. So,
It's pretty cool. I got to have lunch. Like there was breakout groups during lunch, and one of them was talking about corals and people who keep corals in aquariums because if like but if you don't know about the big public aquariums, a lot of times they're broken up into sections. So each aquarist has their own gallery or own thing that they're responsible for. It's not just like you're responsible for all of the things with a group. And so not everybody is responsible for corals in the aquariums. And so meeting with other coral keepers was pretty interesting. And there were some pretty big names that were at the table. And I'm like, wow, this is cool.
oh, you're a big name. Come on.
No, no, no.
It's always neat. Yeah, there's different philosophies on how to run a team. Uh, some of the more I think progressive are that you aren't just a curator, a biologist. There's a biologist. There's a facilities person that is in charge of making sure the pumps work, the electrical and just all that stuff. And then there might be a feed person, because a lot of times in aquariums, just preparing the feed is a separate job, and that's what a person does. Some people, there's a variety of different ways. Sometimes they have the curators prepare the food for their tanks. Other times there's people in the kitchen that are doing all the food prep. So,
Yep.
yeah, and they have discussions about that. And I don't, it depends upon, the general director or general curator's philosophy. So cool. I'm glad you got to go. Dr.
Yes.
Tim's was a sponsor of that.
Mhm.
So,
We had
um,
people asking if you were going to be given a talk, so maybe in the future you can show up at a Raw.
yeah, I've done them in the past. Just this year, there's a lot of things going on. We're off. Toronto Connect Pet Show starts this week. So off to Toronto and then directly from Toronto down to Dallas for Aquashella next weekend. And there's a couple other shows going on. It's crazy. Early in the year already, we are rocking and rolling when it comes to shows.
Yes, indeed.
So, all right. So
Well, today is another question and answer. And I'm going to go ahead and say this before we start into this. Um, I occasionally will get on and check the YouTube for questions. And if we get questions on social media, a lot of times I'll incorporate those. But if you really don't want us to miss your question, send us an email. We'll have the email in the podcast description, in the video description. So go ahead there and send your question to that email to make sure it gets included in these podcast questions. So, we ready to get started?
ready.
All right. Number one, really, I guess, isn't a question. It is a response to something we asked during our last podcast. It says, thank you both. As far as fish lifespan, I kept African cichlids for about 15 years. Some of the fish lasted almost 10. In my 10-gallon saltwater tank, I had a pajama cardinal that was around for 8 plus years. Unfortunately, I lost it about 2 weeks ago for unknown reasons. That's pretty impressive for a cardinal
Yeah, for
fish.
cardinal fish.
Yeah.
Generally, the larger the fish, the longer the lifespan. I know I've had my koi for 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
yeah. They're big pigs
All
with
right.
fins. No offense, pig. For those of you who don't know, Hillary does have a pet pig.
I do. And he is a pig. Out grazing.
Apples, just give him apples.
Oh, yeah. Yep. He's not too picky. The only thing he doesn't like is like broccoli.
Okay, you didn't tell me he's a really smart pig.
Oh, yeah. He used to eat everything. As he's gotten older, he's like, I don't think so. I don't want that. That's too healthy. All right. Let's move on. Question number 2. Hi, I'm using one and only, and I have 2 other tanks. I'm wondering if seeding the new frag tank with some media like bio balls will help or stall the process. I have a hang on back filter and would place it in the compartment the water filters through. My frag tank is 20 gallons, and I have a 2-ounce bottle of one and only. Should I save any or just add it all? Directions say I don't need to add the whole bottle, but I would rather just use it all at once if I can. Thanks.
The issue, and the short answer is probably because the existing media, while it probably has nitrifiers on it, it'll most definitely have heterotrophs in it or on it. And the heterotrophic bacteria grow so much faster than the nitrifiers that the heterotrophs will steal the micronutrients, like phosphate, iron. These are things that the nitrifiers definitely need, but other bacteria utilize also. Um, so I I wouldn't generally recommend it. Plus, um, you possibly could bring in hitchhikers. I'm not just talking about you know uh, nasty bugs, but just other types of bacteria. You'd have to know the history of the tank you're getting the media from if it ever had any diseases or something like that. Um, so generally, I'd recommend no. And to the second part, yes, adding the whole bottle, unless you know you're going to use that bacteria relatively soon, there's no reason to keep it. Add the whole bottle in, and it'll generally find places to colonize. The media, you're going to put the media in the hang on the tank filter. That tends to lead me to believe that the frag tank is bare bottom. What do you think, Hillary? Or maybe has the egg crate on it and has the
Yeah, I'm thinking it
yeah
might be minimalistic,
yeah. Because the
if
problem with
anything.
that, folks, is that the bacteria need a place and if to adhere to, and if you use just a plain bare bottom tank, the bacteria aren't going to stick to that, and so they're going to get swept up into into the suction of the hang on the tank filter. And yeah, you'd like to hope they colonize the bio balls, which they probably will, but it's not the best setup for the bacteria. Will it work? Frags don't generally put out that much ammonia, so you should be fine. But it is really not the greatest setup because you don't have a good place for the bacteria to adhere to. So as long as you know that and if it was a fish tank, I definitely caution you about not doing that. But a frag tank, they don't put out that much ammonia, and you should be fine. But I would add the whole bottle of one and only.
All right. Question number 3. This is another 20-gallon frag tank. I'm thinking of adding a molly as the first fish in my saltwater tanks. I have a few questions about them. Are mollies jumpers? I don't have a lid yet. Maybe I need to get one. Are they hardy? Will they be a good choice for a rubble rock bottom frag tank?
Well, all fish are jumpers because as soon as you say no, that fish isn't a jumper, yeah, it proves the exception to the rule. Um, I don't know if you have had that experience.
Yes.
Oh yeah, this
There's
fish
always
is
exceptions to the
there's
rule with
yeah
animal behavior, what
yeah
they're supposed to eat, everything.
yeah. So um, I mean, are they? I mean, my worst experience is with anethus. Those things always jumped out of the tank, and people, oh, you great, you put a bunch in there, and then the next morning they're all on the floor. So mollies are not terrible jump. I mean, terrible. They're not fish that I feel jump a lot. I wouldn't call them a jumper, so you should be fine. But um, they do jump out. Uh, I don't
Not
know
as
what
much
else
as,
to.
say, hatchet fish.
Yeah, yeah. So I but because the reason I'm pausing is if you say, well, okay, a molly's a jumper, who who should you add? Or what fish should you add? And I don't have an answer for that. Corridor catfish, maybe.
Yeah.
But if that's the issue and you're just using it to get things going, I don't know. This tank was only 20 gallons, right, Hilly? Or does it say?
Yeah. It's only 20 gallons. I would assume they're using a molly for algae,
Yeah,
like to
I mean,
take care of the
you
algae.
could lower the water level, right? Because that means it's higher to
Yeah.
jump. Don't keep the water at the very top of the rim, keep it lower. So yeah, so,
Awesome. Okay. Question number 4. Dr. Tim, I just started using your products, Refresh and Waste Away, to help lower my very high nitrates and phosphates. I removed the refugium and relied on the protein skimmer, which is on a schedule for nutrient export with the bacteria. I also ordered your MP Active Pearls to help maintain the waste away bacteria population once things are back in balance. I don't have cyanobacteria in my aquarium, but algae that I really want to get out. I appreciate your help and your products. My aquarium is 180 gallon with nitrates of 170 and phosphates of 2.5. I'm using your bacteria to help get it down quickly, but do you have any other advice?
well, quickly is relative term. I mean, if you want to do it super fast, a big giant water change, which that's a lot of water, I realize, but that's the quickest way to do it. Long term, uh, with that volume of water, I could suggest using our biopellets. We've got a variety of ways of removing nitrate. Um, water changes is one of the simplest, but if it's a saltwater tank, you're using salt. But you can use the waste away bacteria, the waste away gels, or you can use the biopellets. All one way or another, you're adding bacteria to assimilate. The bacteria, I don't like the word eat, but we'll use it. But basically they assimilate, eat, remove the nitrate and phosphate from the water, converting that into bacterial cells. All living organisms need nitrate and phosphate. So they reduce it, they produce more bacteria cells, and then those cells you need to remove. That this final phase is the most important thing. If you don't remove the bacteria from the water, you're just converting the dissolved nutrients, phosphate and nitrate, into bacteria cells, and the bacteria will die or get eaten, but they'll just recycle. You're just recycling nutrients inside the tank. You need to remove those nutrients um, to get down fast, which is done by filter socks, protein skimmer, things like that. So it all depends upon your definition of fast and kind of your pocketbook. If you're going to use biopellets, you need to have a biopellet reactor. Biopellets, long term, the biopellets in a large tank are definitely the most economical um, versus the gels or the liquids. But if you're trying to get it done super fast, the liquid is going to be the fastest way, but also the one with the possible or the greatest possible negative side effects or ramifications. And that's because you've got a ton of nitrate and a fair amount of phosphate in there. You need to start out with a very small amount of the liquid waste away because the bacteria are going to feed on those nutrients and grow like crazy. And I would add extra aeration to the tank. I would, first time you use the waste away liquid, even the gels in that, for that matter, um, make sure you're there. Don't just add it and then go off to work or, leave or turn off the lights because it's nighttime. Because with that amount of nutrients, the bacteria are going to multiply like crazy. And as they're multiplying, they're sucking the oxygen out of the water. They're also clouding up the water. So in all these cases, what I ask people to do is look through your tank from one end to the other, not front to back, but end to end. Even take a picture of it. Have a white or piece of paper, tape it to the far end of white, put a black section, making a little Secchi disc, and that's your baseline before you add bacteria. How clear you can see that, how far you can see into the tank. Can you see that white piece of paper? Then add the bacteria and observe. Don't, like I already said it, I'm repeating myself, I know, but don't just add the bacteria and leave. Add the bacteria, and every 15, 30 minutes, look through the end of the aquarium and can you see that piece of paper at the other end? Take a picture, compare. Is the water getting cloudy? Because if the water's getting cloudy, that's telling you the bacteria are multiplying rapidly using all this food you have, the phosphates and the nitrates. You're going to need to add extra aeration and consider turning your skimmer on or putting in a filter sock or something like that, because when you have these high nutrients, you have to do this in steps. Add some bacteria, let them grow, and then remove them, and then repeat that process. And it could take really a couple of weeks. You don't want to do this or try to do this all in 1 or 2 days. If that's your definition of fast, then you need to do water changes. That's the only safe way to do it. Using any type of bacterial product, you've got to go slow, because as the bacteria do their thing, they're consuming oxygen, which puts your animals at risk.
Yep, exactly.
So I don't like the word fast when it comes to aquariums.
No, I feel like nothing good
No,
is gonna come from doing anything fast.
no, no. When you say you want to do something fast, yeah,
Mm, yeah.
you're just asking for trouble.
Yes. Okay, we are on question number 5. Can I add a fish after 5 days, even if I'm not cycled?
Uh, the short answer, I guess, would be no, because what does not cycled mean? Does that mean you have high ammonia, high nitrite, both? Why would you want to add a fish when you have poor water quality? There's no reason to make that fish suffer. So if you're not cycled, by definition, it means that you have one or two of those, ammonia or nitrite at high levels. And so I would say don't add a fish at that. Let the bacteria do their job. If you have high ammonia or nitrite or both, do a water change, reduce them, add the fish, and then monitor them and be prepared to do more water changes, because it's not really the right thing to do to let the fish suffer in high ammonia or high nitrite. And definitely don't add more ammonia. I know in the past we've had people, well, I'm doing a fish and a fishless cycling, and that's the wrong thing to do. Now, if you've heard some of the past um, podcast, you might have heard me talking about where you add ammonia to your aquarium to feed corals. But remember, those are cycled tanks. What we're talking about here is a tank uncycled, which means by definition, it does not have enough um, bacteria, coral, whatever. It does not have enough to quickly lower the ammonia or convert the ammonia nitrite to non-toxic nitrate. I want to make that clear.
Yes, I'm glad you touched on that. I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I know because I know we had a rash of questions. Oh yeah, I added the bacteria and I kept the filter off just like you said. Like I said, you got the
Yeah.
wrong doctor, Tim, because I've never said turn the filter off. You got to have water running. You got to have the filter. You got to have biofilter. You've got to have circulation. And so adding the bacteria and adding ammonia into a static system is not really doing anything. So,
Nope. All right. Question number 6. How long before I can turn the lights on? In the past, I have waited for 4 months and didn't have any uglies. I would like things to go that way this time around as well.
that's pretty good. Well, I mean the association of the uglies with light, I think is true because it's weird when you get the uglies, and the uglies for those who don't know is I would say about 14 to 21, around 2 weeks to 3 weeks into the tank cycling, diatoms appear. And it's weird because you would think they would grow from the top of the glass or plastic down to the bottom in the panel because they love to grow on the viewing surfaces, the sides of the tank. But it's weird. They always grow in a band. I don't know if you've seen that, Hillary. And they don't go to the top. They start down maybe 2/3 of the way and grow down. And I think that would definitely there's something to do with lights there. Um, how to not do the uglies? I think. Well, I don't have an answer to tell you the truth because you'd have to see you're keeping the lights off for a month. This person kept them off for 4, but would 3 have been enough? Why pick 4? Why 2? I don't have an answer. It'd be interesting to know. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts, Hillary?
Yeah, I'm curious why 4 months. In the past, I haven't been in a hurry to cycle tanks. Like I haven't had fish or haven't had corals. And so, I've had tanks with the lights that stayed off for a while just because they didn't need to be on. But yeah, I don't know. I still got the uglies.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Um, generally, and this is just supposition on my part, the uglies are the phosphate and nitrate are in the wrong ratio, and that's got nothing to do with the Redfield ratio. Because usually you're getting the diatoms, which it's more of a silicon, and people say they have 0, but test kits aren't the best, and they don't measure that low. Um, so I'm not sure. I've been trying to figure out a way to quote cure or for people to not get the uglies, but generally it doesn't last very long. And if some hermit crabs take care, in a cleaner crew, uh, will take care of it.
We are on question number 7. I'm in a huge hurry and need to move some zoanthids into a frag tank. I'm using one and only. How long before I can safely move the zoas over? I'll move the cheapest ones first, but I have lots of high-end ones too. Bulk Reef Supply used to say to wait several months before you start adding coral to your tank, but now they don't give a time period. What would you recommend?
Well, I think several months is based upon more the age of the water and not having brand new water versus biofiltration. Because um, if you're just moving corals over, there's not a lot of biofilter needed because they're not excreting a lot of ammonia like fish do. But I've found those types of corals don't really like brand new, freshly mixed seawater. That's just my experience. Others may vary, but so what I would do is move over the old water, and you could run it through a micron filter or something if I'm not the person doesn't say why they're in a hurry, right?
No, they don't.
Yeah. So you're not moving the water over to get nitrifiers because the nitrifiers are on surfaces, but there's definitely something about aged seawater versus brand new seawater that some organisms really, don't do well in that brand new 100% brand new seawater. So uh, I would take as much of the older water. You could mix it, 50-50 maybe or so with the brand new seawater. If moving's a problem, add the nitrifiers, one and only, and lots of circulation. And then, be careful with the light. What some people don't realize, and I find this at shows, is one of the first questions I'll ask if people come up to the booth and their corals aren't doing good, or I've got tons of algae. What's your settings on your lights? And surprisingly, a lot of people run the blues at 100%, but they have a shallow tank. That is way too bright. The blue is the critical light for green, for primary producers, the zooxanthellae, algae, things like that. And in most cases, unless your tank is 24, 30, 36 inches deep, or you've got just a ton of corals in there that are throwing shade on everybody, you don't need that blue light at 100%. That's too intense. And most of the manufacturers have a kind of a scale you can follow, but turn that down. Um, so I'd be careful about how much light you're giving them, because that can stress the corals too, and it definitely can cause the algae growth.
Question number 8. We are moving right along today. I am about to set up a new 60-gallon tank. It's freshwater with a 20-gallon sump. I've purchased your refresh, one and only, and the ammonia. My question is, would it be beneficial after cycling and adding the fish to go ahead and just start using the waste away gel and then renew it each month? Hopefully that would prevent sludge buildup. Would I need to wait a while for some sludge to build up first, though? If so, how long should I wait before adding the waste away gel to a newly cycled aquarium? Thank you.
Okay? Not sure why they bought the refresh because you don't use that cycle. But um, don't I don't recommend adding a gel to a new aquarium until the aquarium is a minimum 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks old. And again, that's because, as one of the first or second questions, when you're adding nitrifiers to a new tank, you want the nitrifiers to have access to all the micronutrients and not have any competitors in there. Well, now you're going to add the waste away gels, which is going to put the waste away, which are heterotrophic bacteria, into the system, and they will outcompete the nitrifiers for the micronutrients. And also, is there really enough nutrients for the heterotrophs? And that depends. If you're using one live sand, live sand definitely has a lot of organics in it, and that can cause a bloom of the heterotrophic bacteria. And I won't go through all what that means. So you want to be careful there. So you definitely want to wait a good 3 to 4 weeks before adding any type of waste away gel, or any sludge busting product, to give time for the nitrifiers to get established and get going. You don't really have to wait, 3 or 4 months, but you should wait 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay. Question number 9. Ooh, this is fun. I'm setting up a new saltwater tank for seahorses, and I was wondering, when should I use the non-fish cycling method with the ammonia? How long do I leave everything off, like the filters and lights? Also, should I not put live sand in it when I cycle? Thanks for your help.
So it's a fishless cycling. You want to use it right from the beginning. Add the bacteria, add the ammonia, The lights in this case don't have to be on. There's nothing in the tank because you're adding ammonia, so there's no corals or fish. So you can keep the lights off and save that the energy. Whether to use live sand or not, I'm not anti live sand, but understand that adding live sands, you're adding organics, which can cloud the water, uh, and also can add ammonia to the system. So if you're going to use live sand, set the system up, run the tank for 24 to 48 hours, and then measure ammonia and nitrite. If there's ammonia present, then don't add the ammonia drops because you've got ammonia for the bacteria. The biggest hiccup that people have when cycling is that they add too much ammonia. They just keep on adding ammonia and you get stuck at the high. If you get a high level of ammonia in your tank, the system is going to slow. The bacteria we're trying to grow are low ammonia um, concentration bacteria. Now, uh, the person said, when can they turn on the filter? Well, you turn on the filter day one. You want the filter on. This was the skimmer. Was that there was a filter and something else there?
The filter and the lights.
So yeah, the lights can stay off for a couple of weeks. The filter needs to be running, as I said earlier. Another question, 24/7, right from the get go. And now getting back to the live sands, you let it run 48 hours, you measure, and there's some ammonia left, then adjust the drops accordingly, or don't add any drops and just add the one and only. And then once the ammonia disappears, you can add some more drops. But definitely be careful of putting too much ammonia in the system from the very beginning.
Okay, question number 10. What products are good for after you cycle a tank to help prevent the ugly stage, and when should I add them?
Well, waste away is really the product. And as I've gone over after weeks 3 or 4, don't know if it's going to prevent the uglies. Um, sometimes you set up a few tanks and you don't get the uglies. Um, and I'll admit I don't do a lot of water quality every day, so I'm not sure what causes the uglies. But definitely wait to be at least 3 4 weeks into the system to start using the waste away or other types of products. Clear up is basically a bacterial based flocculant, which means it brings small particles together to make bigger particles that will settle out or can be filtered out. Refresh, because one person said they're going to cycle their tank with refresh, but refresh, that's to clean surfaces, and it's more of a treatment. It's not like well, it's more of a preventative. I got that wrong, rather than a treatment. Um, EcoBalance is probiotic bacteria. So it's really the waste away. You don't need a ton of other things in your tank when cycling it, and resist the urge to add this and to add that. I know in the past people have said, well, I've already started with this bacteria. Will your bacteria interfere? And the answer is generally no. But you want to resist just adding all sorts of stuff and definitely adding them all at the same time. Because then if something happens, positive or negative, you don't really know what that was. What was it that made my tank look great? Because I added 5 different things. So you want to take it slow. I guess we're repeating
I would
these
say that's
things.
another theme today.
Yes, take it slow. Resist adding. I mean, years ago, this one person was keeping bettas, and man, the store did a number on her. They sold her one bottle of everything, and she was adding it all. It's like your betta's not even swimming in water, swimming in chemicals. So
Oh, that's rough.
yeah. So
Okay.
take it slow, one product at a time. Let things get things happen, because that's another question or comment we get. I added the ammonia and I added the bacteria. 15 minutes later, I still have ammonia. The bacteria don't work that fast, folks. Come on. I know everybody's in a hurry, but slow down a little bit. The whole purpose is of a fish tank. Slow down, look at it, relax in front of it, grab a beer and just chill and watch the fish. Get away from being in a hurry. We're all too much in a hurry. And I'm guilty. As Hillary will tell you that, I am more guilty than most people about
Yes,
that.
you're one of the busiest people I know.
So, but I have 3 fish ponds in the backyard, and I'm out there in the evenings. We're trying to relax. So,
That's what counts.
yeah, recognize it and try to deal with
Yep.
it. Okay.
All right. Question number 11. Hey there. I'm trying the refresh waste away protocol on a dino hair algae outbreak. I see that it recommends I turn the skimmer off, and I have 2 questions. Question number 1, is it okay to run the skimmer with the cup off to overflow back into the tank to maintain oxygenation? And question number 2, while the skimmer is off, would it hurt anything to run an air stone in its place to ensure good oxygenation? Thanks.
Okay, so the first answer the second question first. It's never a bad thing to run some supplemental aeration when you're doing any type of, adding a bacterial product, especially for the first time, or trying to outcompete and get rid of algae and organics and things like that, because that's all organic material that will be broken down. Mineralized is the scientific word, by bacteria, and they'll be consuming oxygen as they're doing that. So you definitely adding more oxygen to the tank is fine. Running the skimmer without the cup to have it go back into the tank. See, the issue with that, as I mentioned a couple of questions ago, is you're not really doing anything. The issue here is you're trying to get rid of the organics uh, and nutrients that are feeding the hair algae. And if you need a skimmer to help you with that. And so if you don't have the cup and it's in place and everything's just running back into the tank, all you're doing is mixing it. You're not removing it. So I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend keeping the cup on the skimmer and adding supplemental aeration and doing this in segments. Add the waste away, turn the skimmer off, add the waste away, put the aeration in, and run that for a couple hours. Observe your tank. Any sign of cloudiness, turn that skimmer back on and start removing bacteria. Okay, that's you clear the tank. You cleared the tank because the bacteria are now out. Okay, now add some more waste away, and tank starts to get cloudy. You you add the waste away the second time, turn the skimmer off. Tank starts to get cloudy after 30 minutes, turn the skimmer back on. During this whole time, you've got supplemental aeration in there. And this is like that example 3 or 4 questions ago where the person had, what was it, over 100 ppm nitrate and not 0.2, but 2 parts phosphate. You've got a lot of nutrients in there. You're not going to be able to remove them all at once. It's going to go in stages. And that's just the safest way to do it, unless you really want to, unless you want to do big water changes. There's just no escaping that. But you need the skimmer cup on because you need to remove the skimmate, which is full of bacteria that have been assimilating the nitrates and phosphates out of the water.
All right. We have our last question. Question number 12. I bought your products, read your information on your website, and cycled successfully. I added 3 small fish and tiny blue leg hermit crabs. On day 9, ammonia and nitrite stayed at 0 while nitrate rose to 20. Day 14, I did a 25% water change on my 75-gallon tank. On day 15, I tested again and got a pH of 7.9, ammonia of 0, but nitrites rose to 2, with the nitrate still staying at 20. I'm a little bit concerned about the nitrite being so high. What should I do? Do I need to add one and only again?
So this is a new tank, right? It's only like 14, 20 days old.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's happened here is the biofilter is functioning, but it's not mature. And by mature, I mean the bacteria are not well stuck in their, EPS, extrapolymer substance, onto surfaces. And so by cleaning the system and disturbing things, uh, did they use live sand? Does it say that at all?
It doesn't say anything about that.
Okay. But by cleaning the tank and disturbing things, um, you've probably removed a little bit of bacteria. Also, you may have oxygenated or disturbed some organics, even, depending. I don't know the setup, but I know that the nitrite bacteria are kind of your canary in a coal mine. When something's going to go wrong, or when your system, in this case, this system, is brand new, it's the nitrite oxidizing organisms that are going to be affected first because they're just, I'll say, the most fragile. They're the slowest growing ones. And so the nitrite will build up as these bacteria are affected. So something has disturbed the biofilter. The ammonia guys are doing fine, but the nitrite guys are not, because they were not fully established. Maybe there weren't enough numbers in them, of them. And so by cleaning and disturbing the tank, you've released some nutrients, some organics, that, produced ammonia, but the ammonia guys were able to handle that, but the nitrite guys weren't. I think your pH is fine. I think it's just a very young biofilter. That's why, I recommend not putting in waste away or waste away gels for 3 or 4 weeks. Also, do not recommend siphon cleaning during the first 3 or 4 weeks. You shouldn't have a ton of food. You're not overfeeding, right? Sure, you're overfeeding. It's a new tank and it's a new people, so they overfeed too much. But you can do that to get rid of the uneaten food and the gunk that's on the top of the aquarium, but top of the aquarium substrate. But definitely, if you're going to clean and siphon clean and disturb your gravel, do it on the lighter, gentler side, not a strict cleaning, because you're going to remove all the bacteria. That's because they're just not established yet. By established, I mean they're not stuck well on all the different biomedia and gravel and coral substrate and stuff like that. So you just got to give them some time.
Again, I feel like our theme of have patience is
Patience, yes.
back again.
Yes. The importance of patience in any type of an aquarium. So, but we've all been in a hurry. It usually backfires on you. That's the thing I found, is it usually backfires and you spent more time than if you'd have just not been in such a big hurry. But of course there's accidents and tank leaks, and well, there was one I saw, it was on YouTube, and the tank was leaking at the bottom.
Oof, that's rough.
Yeah, one of the guys, Ian, that's real active in Reefapalooza in Orange County. He showed me his tank. I don't know. It was a big one, maybe 165, 200 gallons in his living room, and it had cracked, and the
Oh no.
the glass failed.
Oh,
And all his sand was in his living room. It looked like he had gone down to
oh,
Newport Beach, got a dump truck load of sand, and just said, "Put it in my living room. I want a beach."
oh, that's rough.
Oh yeah, that is rough. Yeah,
Nightmares.
yeah.
Ooh. I'm curious. We haven't done a podcast about like aquarium mistakes or like the worst things that have happened, have we?
No, no, we haven't.
I wonder, can we do that? Maybe not next episode. I don't know if we'll have time, but let's go ahead and put out a call or I guess respond, send us a message, send us an email, tell us about your worst aquarium mistakes or aquarium tragedies. Like,
Great.
well, I mean, nobody
No,
like
no, no, but you learn. It's kind of like a rap. I mean, the whole thing about rap was that people kind of are honest and you bare your soul of, I did this, and I thought at the moment it was a great idea, but it turned out to be, the stupidest
exactly.
thing I could have done. Have you ever done it, or what do you think, or what happened? You just, when I was in the uh, division of forestry fire, as a firefighter in college, the summers, um, you had a tailgate session after a fire. And this is kind of like a tailgate where everybody learns from what happens. Then you learn more from mistakes than you do from successes. People don't want to admit it, but especially in science, most science doesn't work. Uh, so you learn from that. So no, it's a great
Exactly.
idea. So send us, email us, contact us. What was the biggest tragedy, mistake, or blooper, or OMG, why did I just do that? Um, and we can talk about it.
Yeah. I like that. That'll be fun. I mean, hopefully, maybe not fun, but it'll be good. Hopefully, people can learn.
Yeah, it's all about learning. We're not going to
Exactly.
embarrass anybody. All right. So appreciate it, Hillary. Glad you had fun at Raw. And we're starting show season last week or 2 weeks ago. Or was it just last week? Wrap.
Uh, 3 weeks ago? No, two and a half. Yeah,
Yeah.
2, 3 weeks ago.
Anyways,
I don't know. I
we'll
feel
be
like it just
around.
happened.
Check if you're interested. They're all over Reefapalooza, Aquashella. There's some really nice local frag swaps that are be interesting. And then don't forget the reptiles.
Oh yeah.
Beardy needs a brother, right?
I think I would be in trouble if I brought home any more animals. But if I did, it would be a hognose snake. I've already got them picked out.
Already got it picked out.
Hmm.
Very. I'm not going to say anything.
I haven't brought it home yet.
Just thinking about it. It's only a matter
Yep,
of time, folks. We all know it's only a matter of time.
exactly.
Yes. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. As always, any questions, comments, something you need answered, info at drtimsaquatics.com. And hopefully, we'll see you at one of the shows in the near future. Good fish keeping, everyone. This has been Dr. Tim and Hillary and another Dr. Tim's Aquatics podcast.